Hey everybody, this is Daniel here, and today I'm going to be going over a coding assessment problem that I had a few weeks ago. And I just want to go over this to show kind of the problem solving steps to take when you're working on a problem that seems a little complex, but when you really break it down, you find that, oh, when we manipulate the data, or know how to manipulate the data with JavaScript, this type of problem actually isn't too difficult to do. So let's take a look at the issue. So ignore these steps down here for now. These are just the steps to solve the issue. If we look here, it says decode the message from the given text file via the pyramid method. Each line in the text file is a number and word pairing. The code will use the words paired with each of the last numbers in the line of the pyramid. The numbers should correspond to a pyramid structure like below. So this is basically the structure that the numbers are looked at, and in this case the words associated with numbers 1, 3, 6, 10, and then etc. 15, 21, and so on. Will have the words needed for our decoded message. So output the decoded message is one string with one space between each word. And the decoded phrase will likely not be a valid sentence. That was something that they added in to their assessment. So I think it goes to show that it's probably randomly generated. But anyway, so we have our decoding method. It's the last number in each line in a pyramid structure. And then we were given a text file. In this case, it was called coding underscore qual underscore input dot text. So let's take a look at it. So we take a look at the file, and it pretty much lines up with what the prompt said. We've got a number here and then a word associated. So basically, it needs to find the word with the number 1, then number 3, number 6, number 10, and so on. Put all the words together for our decoded message. So the first issue that we have is that we can't just look directly in a text file and pull stuff out of it in JavaScript. What we need to do is we need to input it. So we take a look at our step 1 here. We need to read in the text file and store the number word pairings in an array. So that way we have this stored here. So when we go over to here, let's just look at step 1 for now. So this is step 1. So in the prompt, it said to do all of this in a function called decode, and have the parameter be the message file. So if we look down here at the bottom, we're applying the coding qual input dot text to the decode function. So the first thing we need to do is we need to require an fs, because this allows us to read in a text file. And then we're going to create a contents array, and basically what this contents array is just gonna bring in all the strings, number word pairings, so that we can actually look at them in a JavaScript context. And then we call fs.readFileSync on the message file, .toString to make them strings, and then .split to split each one by the line into each segment of the array. So if we look down here, I added this console log for the contents array. So this is a great thing to do as you go through these type of problems, is console log each step of the way so that you can see where your data is currently at. So here, when we console log this, we have an array, and it has the strings for each of the pairings. So we still have all our pairings together, which is good. But the issue now is that we want the program to be able to tell what is a number and what is a string. So if we just split these again into two separate arrays, the number is not going to be read as an integer, it's going to be read as a string. So we look at the next step. What we need to do is split each number word pairing into separate arrays while keeping the pairing order. So this is important. We need to split them in a way that the association, the pairing associations here, don't get mixed up or misconstrued. So we look here. I created an empty array called nums array, an empty array called words array, and then all I did was I just mapped over the contents array and split each of them. And then with that result, I mapped over that and then pushed each of the first here. So hold on, let me just console log this result real quick and then hide this console log to save space. I'm going to save that, and then we are going to run this again. Okay, so this is what we have now in our results. So we've split, we've mapped over the contents array and split everything, so now they're each in their own little mini array inside the main array for each of the pairings. Then what we do is we're going to map over this array and push the first thing, or the first element, which is going to be each of the numbers, and we'll also parse int, so we're basically turning this from a string to an integer. And then with the words array, we're just pushing each of these strings of words into that separate array. So then let's go ahead and get rid of that console log and bring these console logs back in. So this is what it'll look like after we do that. Save that. Go ahead and run it again. Now we have here our nums array, which has all of our numbers. Notice that they're in all the same order as they were in the text file. So we've got 195, 235, 111, 60. We go here, 195, 235, 111, 60. So it's important to double check and make sure that these are all in the same order. And then we have all the words associated: land, sun, to, huge, don't. Let's go over the text file. Land, sun, to, huge, don't. Okay, good. So all of that is in the same order. So now we've got all our words and all our numbers. And now what we need to do is we need to find a way to parse through each of these and find the correct number that is associated with this pyramid decoding structure, and then pick those words and put them into another array to store. So step 3 here, I put find each valid word for the decoded message by calculating each of the valid numbers from the pyramid and matching them to the same index in the array of words. Remember, this is why it was so important to make sure that these lined up with these still with the pairings, even though they were separated into 2 arrays, because what we can do now is we can use the index of one of them to match it to the index of the other array. So here, basically what I've done is said let num equal 1, and then I have an accumulator equal 2, because what I did was I thought, well, how do we calculate each of these final numbers on a line? And what I noticed was, okay, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 3 plus 3 equals 6, 6 plus 4 equals 10. So basically you're adding a number plus 1, so that is the accumulator. So when we look here in the code, I started initially, because the pyramid's always going to start with 1 at the top, and then you're always going to add 2 first. So that's why these numbers are the first numbers. And then I created an array that is just an empty array that's going to store the valid words that we find. So then we're going to map over the numbers array, and if in the numbers array includes a num, and here we have num, so if it includes 1, we're going to let the found index equal the index of the num in the nums array. So then with the found index, we go into, or we go the valid words dot push. We're pushing a word into our new valid words array. The word that's found at the same index of the found number of the words array. So that is how we find each word and push it in here. And then what's important here is we got to do num equals num plus accumulator, or num plus equals accumulator here, which is doing that addition that I talked about. We do 1 plus 2 equals 3. That's how we have our next num that we look through on the next pass through the map. And we also make sure we add accumulator plus plus, because the accumulator is going to go up by 1, because we do plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, and so on and so forth. So there we go. So when we do that, let's look at this console log of our new valid words array and see what we come up with here. So let's run it again. Take a look at it again. So now we have a much smaller array of the words that should line up with our decoded structure. So we got a specialty group now. Let's just look at these first three and make sure we can match them. So here especially is 1. I think I saw 3 earlier. I could do a find, but basically all these should match up to the numbers that are supposed to be the numbers you're supposed to use here: 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, 28, 37, so on and so forth. So we have our array of words here, and now all we need to do is concatenate them together to form the decoded message, because remember, it wanted the output of the decoded message as one string with a space between each word. So here, step 4, concatenate the words from the valid words array into one string for the decoded message. So last step's pretty simple. We just have our answer here, and we do valid words.join with the space in between and return that answer. So let's hide this console log. We don't really need to console log the answer here because we're just returning it anyway. So here we will get our final output. So we run this one last time. We can see here that we have what we had in our array: especially group now, morning now, and indicate, especially group now, morning now, indicate, and so on. That this is the answer. This is the phrase that has been decoded out of the text file using the pyramid structure method. So that's basically it. So as you can see, initially it seemed really daunting. We got a text file that we don't even know how to read anything off of it. We had integers and words mixed together, and we needed to separate them and mark them appropriately, but also keep their pairing order together to be able to do the decoding. But after breaking it down and kind of manipulating the data step by step, we can see that this problem actually isn't too difficult in terms of the actual code. The hardest thing is probably this file read in, and it just takes a little bit of stringing a couple methods together just to kind of be able to do it in one line. You don't even have to do this in one line, but for ease of reading the code, it's probably better to do it that way. But outside of that, it's basic manipulation of integers and strings and arrays, just organizing data. This could probably be refactored into something even shorter, but I just wanted to show the basic kind of data manipulation through each step to complete this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this kind of helped you think about how to break down coding assessment problems the next time you have an interview. And yeah, I hope you have a good day. Thanks.